If you're Gen X, you've probably seen the headlines that we need at least $1 million to retire. We should follow the 4% rule. And if you're like me, you've looked at your savings and thought, that's impossible. That ain't gonna happen. I say forget the 4% rule. I propose a different retirement strategy, one that's more attainable for most, one that I call the just enough amount. It's not about chasing a number that just keeps moving further and further away every passing year. It's about designing a retirement that you can actually reach. First, let's talk about the problem with the 4% rule. On paper, it sounds simple. Save a big pile of money, withdraw 4% every year, and you'll be fine. But here's the problem. To live on $40,000 a year, the 4% rule says you'll need a $1 million portfolio, because 4% of 1 million is 40,000. And for most Gen X households, that number just feels way out of reach. Saving $1 million hasn't been realistic. Research shows that most Americans approaching retirement, which would be us, Gen X, we have less than half that amount saved. And if you go by the median amount, it's even much less. So the 4% rule isn't wrong. It's just built for a reality that most of us don't live in. That's why some of us, we need to look at it in a different way. So if we'll look at it through the lens of the just enough mindset, then we can stop setting these impossible goals of trying to reach a 7-figure target. And instead, we'll focus on covering our real life needs, not some target out there that just will fix all of our problems. And that's what this million-plus figure does. It keeps people from having to really think and plan. If you save enough, then you'll have enough money for whatever comes up. But you can just as easily bankrupt yourself with $1 million+ in your bank account as you can with a third of that. If you don't plan ahead, if you don't know what your lifestyle is going to be, if you don't manage your money well. And a good place to start is to aim to replace 75% of your pre-retirement expenses. Now that means you've got to sit down and know how much you're spending so that you know what 75% of that's going to look like. But then you also don't forget that Social Security could take care of 40% of that. Now I know there's some possible cuts in the future. I'm not even going to talk about those at this point in time. But if we can think of Social Security as covering 30 to 40% of our pre-retirement expenses, then we know more of the amount that we need to plan for. Now, this isn't about being careless. It's about being realistic and to stop just hoarding money that you'll never spend or planning to just save this huge pile of money with no purpose attached to it. And what does just enough look like for Gen Xers? Well, let's make this real. Let's say you want to retire on $40,000 a year. We'll go back with that original $40K. Now, the average 65-year-old can expect around $19,000 a year in Social Security. Now, that leaves you $21,000 each year that you need to cover from your own savings. If you're planning for a 25-year retirement, $21,000 times 25 years, that comes to around $525,000 in total retirement savings that you'll need. Now that's your just enough amount if you retire at 65. and claim Social Security at that time. Now that amount is already nearly half that magic million that everyone says we need. But let's make it even more doable because we've got some options that we can play with. Let's talk about how part-time work, that changes everything. And this is the missing piece that most Gen Xers overlook. A small part-time job can completely change the math. Let's just say that you want to claim Social Security at 65. I know that's not full retirement age, but you can still claim it at 65. And let's say you pick up a small part-time job, maybe 20 hours a week, making $12 an hour. Seems pretty achievable. That's around $10,000 take-home pay each year that you do that. And if you work those 5 years from age 65 to 70, and that's about $50,000 total that you won't need to use from your nest egg. That lowers your savings from $525,000 to roughly $475,000. And for a lot of us, that's the difference between never feeling ready and actually maybe, possibly having a plan that could work. Because retirement doesn't have to mean no work at all. It could mean lighter, more flexible, maybe more enjoyable work. Something that gets you out of the house, something that gives you some social time with others. But let's talk more about another path that you could take. If you can work enough in your 60s to cover all your expenses and then wait until age 70 to claim Social Security, your benefit jumps to nearly 38% versus claiming at 65. And that means that instead of just getting $19,000 a year from Social Security, you would get $27,000 a year. And now your income gap to reach that $40,000 a year is only $13,000. And over the course of a 25-year retirement, that's around $325,000 that you would need in your nest egg. By just waiting those 5 years, you've cut your savings target by almost a third. But okay, let's grind this down even more. How do you put this just enough amount into action? Here are 3 steps to start. Number 1 is bucket your life into stages. Just think in 5 to 10 year blocks. Some people call them the go-go years, the slow go, the no-go. But decide for you what matters most in each of those phases. Is it travel? Is it hobbies? Is it family? Is it just resting and relaxing? And assign those rough costs. And number 2 is line up your income sources. Map out when you think you're going to claim Social Security and what you'll draw from your retirement accounts and maybe, if any, part-time income that's going to come in. And number 3 is to match your savings to your lifestyle. It's okay to dream big, but it's okay if we don't have that coveted $1 million as well. We got to focus on reaching that amount that works for us. And the truth is that you don't have to be a millionaire to retire well. You just need enough to live and enjoy what truly matters to you. And for Gen X, it's about letting go of impossible expectations. So what does your just enough amount look like? Drop it in the comments. I would love to hear your perspective on this as well. And while you're here, if you'd like to hear another sobering truth about money and our futures, watch this video next. The Great Wealth Transfer. Is it a myth? Why we can't depend on inheritances. I'll link it right here. Thank you for watching today. I'm Sherry, And this is This Gen X Life. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.